That's God. I'm Summer, and Emerson is still unable to be with us today, but that's okay because we have a very special guest with us sharing her testimony, and that is Callie. I met Callie, well, honestly, like literally in the same, were you not on the same,
Yeah, we were on a call.
like you were in the same area that you were
Yep, right
when we
here.
were on a call for the teams? Yeah. And so, I mean, I don't know when that was. That was like in March, and then got to meet her at the team second camp. And she's just been like an amazing leader, an amazing influence, just so wonderful to be around. And so I'm just so excited. I have not got to hear her testimony, so I'm super pumped. And I know that you guys are going to absolutely love her. So Callie, I'm just going to go ahead and give you the floor. You take it away. You can start with your verse. You can start with an introduction. You can sprinkle your verse in there throughout the times, but everybody knows how this goes. You're just going to take it away, and I'll ask some questions at the end. But I'm so excited to listen and to dive into your testimony. So,
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, first of all, for asking me to come on. I can yap a lot, so I apologize in advance. But thank you for all of your sweet words also. That's so sweet of you. But yeah, we literally met in the same exact place like earlier this year, so it's so cool that this is where we're at. But yeah, so I'll kind of start back. I've always known Jesus. He's always been, we've sang Jesus Loved Me. We've prayed before dinner. My whole life, it's always been there. My parents, super strong in their faith, and they wanted me, and I have two younger sisters as well, to know that. So, that's kind of been a stronghold that I've always had in my life, and that's been super cool, just to kind of build off of, and also going through and hearing that maybe other people don't always have that opportunity to have grown up in the church and to knowing the Lord. And so that's been something that I've been super blessed to, I think kind of just take into account of like, wow, I've always known Jesus and I've always known that love. And so yeah, that's kind of little short backstory on me. Currently, I am a graduate assistant at LeTourneau University in Longview, Texas. And then I played 4 years of college soccer, and now I'm coaching college soccer. So kind of full circle moment to be on the other side of the white lines. But I'll get to that in a minute. But that's kind of where we're going with this whole thing. But anyways, so yeah, like I said, kind of always knew the Lord, or not kind of, I did always know the Lord. And when I was in my senior year, end of my junior year, I got baptized, and it was me, my sister, both my sisters, and my grandfather. And so my grandfather is one of my best friends. He was not raised in the church, and I have got to watch him grow in his love for the Lord, and so getting baptized next to him was really cool and a really awesome experience that God allowed us to be a part of. And so that kind of happened then, but really my catalyst moment came in the 11th grade when I was asked to lead a worship night or we have a worship week at my high school, and it's called Pursuit. And I was asked to lead a group of sixth graders because some of my senior friends at the time were the leaders of it. And they were like, Callie, you love kids. You'd be perfect for this. I was like, great. Let me go tell some sixth graders about Jesus. That seems easy enough. I can do that. So I was asked to lead this group of girls. And honestly, sitting down in small group time, we had small group time at the end of each night. And I just remember sitting and listening to them talk about how big their heart is for the Lord and some of the things they were asking me, and kind of being convicted in a way of, wow, do I not, like, I didn't feel that childlike faith. I didn't have a lot of that childlike faith at that point in my life. Those little girls were asking me questions that I did not know the answer to, and that was so intimidating. But towards the end of the week, I was asked to share my testimony and on stage. And I was really excited that my friends had recognized that, I can talk to a brick wall if it would talk back. So, getting up in front of people and talking about Jesus didn't, didn't really seem like that big of a thing. But, when I got in the car that night with my middle sister, Rayleigh, who I used to call her a Jesus freak, she was such a strong believer that it scared the crap out of me because I was like, I don't know if I can be I don't know if I could be like that. I would be touring schools. This is kind of a sidebar, but I was touring colleges to go to school at, and if it was a Christian university, Lord English, and they told me that I had to go to that I had to go to chapel and get a certain amount of hours, I was like, "Oh, count me out. I love me some Jesus, but I do not want it shoved down my throat." Like that was really kind of where I was at. So, sidebar, squirrel. Anyways, back to Rayleigh. So we're sitting in the car that night, and I'm driving home like, "Hey, Rayleigh, like they asked me to share my testimony this week." And I kid you not, and I feel bad throwing her under the bus, but it was a catalyst moment in my faith journey. And she looks at me and says, "How are you going to do that? You don't even have a testimony." And I was like, okay, okay. Well, of course, in the moment, I'm like, "You have no idea what you're talking about, Jesus freak, shut up." But what that really did was me so quick of, okay, maybe I don't have, you know, a typical testimony. I didn't grow up struggling. I was very blessed with an amazing family who my parents provided for us, and we experienced a lot of opportunities. And so I felt really intimidated at that point because I didn't have a testimony, or so I thought. And so like I said, that really was kind of a catalyst for me, so that was, my 10th grade year. And then by my senior year, I was a part of the leadership team of FCA. They had asked me to share my testimony there. And so it was just kind of cool to reflect back to that night, in the car with Rayleigh where, that question of, do you even have a testimony? And now I'm in front of 30 kids and peers sharing my testimony of what the Lord had done for me from that night. So I would kind of say that that's where my real pursuit of Jesus started, was around my 10th grade year, and started living differently. I think that it always was just kind of like, yes, I know he loves me and that's great, and I don't have to do anything further from that. Um and so I kind of just lived in that. I lived in that lukewarmness for a little bit, and then went to ended up playing soccer in college, and went to a junior college for 2 years, and there is probably where I went like 75 steps backwards and never took any steps forward in my faith. I started finding my identity in a lot of things that were not him. I had always been a player, on the soccer field that was a leader in a way. In my high school, I wasn't necessarily a goal scorer, but communicatively, I was the mom of the team. So I had always had people underneath me. So I kind of found identity in that. And then when I ended up going to my junior college, I played some big minutes, scored some big goals, and ultimately my whole identity was soccer. If you were to go back and ask freshman year, sophomore year Callie, "Who are you?" I would have said, "I am a forward for Holmes Community College, and I have 2 sisters, and I love my parents, I love my family." That's probably all that I would have been able to really provide, as far as
Mhm.
who I am as a person. And I don't really know that I fully realized who I was in Christ until my junior year, so I'll kind of fast forward there now. But after my sophomore year, I one of my mom so my mom coached high school soccer, and her assistant coach was the OG team second part of the OG team second group. So she came to me and my sister and Rayleigh and said, "Hey, there's this really cool group of athletes that are believers that I think y'all would love to be a part of." And so ended up applying and joined team second going into my junior year of college, and really was not it, like, full transparency, not involved. I think I got on like one Zoom call, was definitely not sharing the gospel with people. We had a Bible study within our team, my junior year that kind of started, but it wasn't super engaging. I think it was more of whoever was speaking that week. There was typically 3 of us. I was one of them that was speaking, but it was just the girls that were coming in and they were listening, and we did see God move. He still used that, but I still think in a way, it was just not super engaging at all, and they were just coming to listen to what we had to say, and we would spend hours. I felt like we were planning a church sermon. Like, we would spend hours, like, thinking about all these points and, um, things that we were gonna talk about, and whatever the word said to us and what it meant to us, and it's just like, yeah, that only goes so far. So, once I really started getting involved in Team Second and all the things that I Am Second has done is probably when all of the, you don't even have a testimony and what's your identity and who are you, kind of started to come to fruition. So, I just go back to I was a athlete who was always successful and not in a prideful way. That's just I was blessed with a high school community that was successful, and we won my junior college. We won. We were in the national tournament 2 years in a row, um, setting records, just scoring goals, all of those things. And then I got to my 4 year at Louisiana Tech, and completely 180. I number one, I didn't work to be a Division I athlete over the summer. I kind of just sat in my comfortability, and I don't know that my motives for playing Division I soccer at the time were fully for myself, and I think it was kind of just to satisfy other people. But again, God still used that, and so that's something that I'm really grateful for, is that my 2 years at Tech were not wasted at all. That's probably where He did the most work in my life, because He took me off the soccer field basically completely. I found my identity in I'm always been a mom. Like I said earlier, I take people under my wing, but I really found identity in mentoring the freshmen and that were coming in, and kind of just like I didn't even really know what was happening when I got there, but definitely they were my locker mates right and left of me, and so they got stuck in a corner with me just because of our numbers. And so I definitely think that was a God thing too, of just kind of giving me that comfort. Like, I was comfortable in that space of like being the mom, and making sure their transition was good. And even though I was transitioning too, I know, like, as a freshman, obviously coming into an environment like that, it can be terrifying. So I really just started kind of finding more identity in that, and how do I continue to mentor people under me. And so again, taking off soccer field, I found then that I really enjoyed coaching, and that was something that I did from the sidelines, not obviously out loud. I would do it when they would come over and be like, Callie, what's up? Like, what's happening? Why did I get taken off, and all those things? And so that was kind of a passion that I think God, I always knew that I loved coaching, but I think in that time it was kind of seeing it in a different light, and seeing it as a way as a ministry, honestly. And obviously at the time didn't think like, oh, this is how I'm gonna, this is how I'm gonna reach people. But looking back on it now, I definitely think that was God's, gentle nudge of like, hey, this is something you're passionate about. I love relationships. I love building relationships with people, and intentional time with people is really important to me. And so I think that was kind of His really subtle way of being like, hey, this is something you like to do. And so then at the end of my yeah yeah so then at the end of my junior year, I ended up having to have surgery. I was having problems with my foot. This is going to sound so weird. I had a bone taken out of my toe, and so that's so minor. Like, out of all the injuries that could happen to an athlete, me telling that I had a hard time with the toe, like, please.
Girl, I had a hard time with the pinky. It's okay.
Yeah,
It's
it
completely fine.
that's funny. But yeah, so poor pitiful me, I struggled with the toe. Okay, I'm just kidding. But I started having back problems and hip problems, all because I had experienced this toe pain for almost 6 years. At this point, it started when I was in high school, and we kind of just chalked it up to nothing. I mean, it was something, but it wasn't anything fixable, besides taking your break, and obviously that's not possible in college sports. So um, played on it for 6 years, ended up having to have surgery at the end of my junior year. And I was in a relationship at the time that I thought was really great. And I mean, looking back now, it was one of those times also with me taking someone under my wing and wanting to love them to Jesus. And I think that's something that I did a lot, even with friendships, was, maybe I wasn't super confident in how do I get them to the gospel? How do I get them to salvation? But I always knew that loving them was a way of kind of bringing them into that environment. And so I partner that with the injury, because it was just kind of like a catalyst of down in the dumps for me. Ended up having to have the bone taken out of my foot and basically completely relearn how to run. And so I was not ready for season, which I recovered way faster than what the typical recovery time would have been, but still went into another season of Division I athletics not fit, not in shape, not prepared at all to go play 90 minutes of soccer. So kind of just another moment for me of like, okay, being on the soccer field isn't ultimately what's meant for me here. And I think that after like with the injury, with the recovery and the determination that it took for me through that, it kind of made me value sports a lot more and the community, and the times that I did have on the field were that much more important to me because it's like, okay, the Lord, like God let me, he not let me, he gave me the ability to do all of these things. So why am I doing it for any other reason but then to glorify him? And so after just kind of my recovery, that started to become where I was at when I was on the sideline. It was like, okay, I'm praying for my girls that are on the field at this moment. Our Bible study ended up, after I ended up going, I backtrack. I missed the whole part. But earlier that summer, I went to the team second camp. And so learned all of these things that were super great. And, or that was at the end of my junior year. Wow, I really skipped a whole chapter here. But at the end of my junior
That's
year,
completely
hello. This I should have wrote stuff down. I should have like talk about these things and hit these points. Um,
no,
I was prepared.
no. This is from the heart.
Anyway, so flashback into my junior year, went to team second camp, learned all of the tools, all of the things, came back to campus with one of my best friends, Emma. And she's super strong in her faith, and was kind of my person of peace there, at Tech. And so we ended up kind of restarting our Bible study and going with the 3/3 method, and we watched it expand, not necessarily in number, but in fruit of what it looked like within the group. And so got a whole new group of freshmen before my senior year, and two of them are going to be in my wedding. Like, they are my best friends. I love them. And they're yeah, they're awesome. But they're pursuing the Lord. Like, I saw that they were pursuing the Lord. Like, that is something that they came in and were like radiating the love of Jesus. And so it kind of, I know I gravitated towards them in that. And so then they joined the 3/3, the Bible study, the now church. And we kind of watched that happen, over the span of my senior year. And so I would say that a lot of me being moved off the field, helped me to see things in a different light, like I said earlier. And my ultimate focus came with, how do I disciple people well? So it went away from, I'm just mentoring these girls and I'm just helping them, m- mesh into this new place that they're in, and went into, I'm actively discipling them because I fully understood that that's really what was happening the whole time. But now I had the tools in my tool belt, and I was on fire for the Lord of how do you use me in these relationships? How do you use me in this environment? And so, um, like I said, through senior year, our group just continued to meet, continued to be consistent. I actually got to baptize one of my best friends, which was the first person I baptized. Her name's Cadence. 2 Aprils ago, last April. And, so that was like the first time I baptized someone. And again, not something, if you would have told Callie 3 years ago that she was going to baptize someone, I would have been like, I'm a pastor, in a church somewhere in what? No, we did it in the reservoir 5 minutes away from my house and on a random day. Like, so insane.
Praise
And
the
all of us
Lord.
did it. Like, there was no pastor. It was insane. I was like, wow. And honestly, I got that confidence from how the Lord spoke to me at Team Second Camp. And it was just like, hey, Callie, you have the ability to do these things. And I really think it was being invested in by some of the, I guess, elders. I don't really know what you would call them, but like the Corey, Amanda, Taylor, John, they looked
Yep.
at me and said, "Hey, we see this in you. Can you please go pursue it?" Like, and we're gonna equip you with all of these things. And I really just think that confidence they gave me at that camp was just like, go and do. And again, I had heard Matthew 28 my entire life. Go and make disciples of all nations. Ain't nobody ever told me how to do that. No one ever said, this is how you should go make a disciple. And so once I had those tools and I already had such a passion for relationships, that just completely 180 transformed all of my relationships with all of these people that I was having. And so anyways, like I said, got to baptize Cadence. Thank the Lord for that. She was one that she was probably a really good tester for me because she was not super confident in um what she, not necessarily who she was in the Lord, but kind of just trying to figure out where she stood and on the whole Christianity thing. And she's also a super strong personality, so learning, when can I push her on certain things and when do I need to shut up and walk away. That was fun to figure out. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I really do believe that my consistency in loving her and just continuing to have those gospel conversations with her, whether she wanted to or not, ultimately ended up to her giving her life to Jesus. And she actually did it without me even knowing. She just randomly dropped it in a church. Oh, well, actually on Sunday I gave my life, or last Wednesday at small group, I actually gave my life to Christ. And I was like, okay, so when are we getting baptized? Like, what? And so we got to celebrate in our church group, which was it was so awesome. And so, um, that was kind of what it looked like at Tech, and how much God moved in a year I didn't think was going to be possible again until I'm looking back now on this past year of my life, where in February of last year, I was looking around like, what the heck am I going to do with my life? I'm about to graduate with a biology degree that almost killed me multiple times. It was horrible. Why did I major in biology? No idea, but I did. I love science. So, um, I'm like, I know coaching is where I'm called. I know that I love kids. So should I just move back home and go to my comfort zone with coaches who I've known since I was 8 years old? Go coach for them, go be in that environment. And I could not sleep. I was restless. There was no peace in that. I really didn't feel a whole lot of confidence in making that decision. And so I was fighting with my parents. They were like, figure it out. We're cutting you off. Like, they really weren't going to. They're not that mean. But they were like, hey, you're 23 years old. You need to figure your life out. And I was like, great. I had no idea what I was going to do. So that was just an easy option for me. But I remember there was one night where I was laying in bed and I actually just started talking to my now fiance. And I was talking through this stuff with him, and he was just like, hey, like, give it to God. And I was like, yeah. Or maybe it was, have you prayed about it? It was one of those two things. And I was like, I haven't. And he was like, maybe you should try that. Like, it might help. And I was like, okay. Anyway, so that night ended up praying, and I was just like, God, look, I'm arguing with my parents. I'm unhappy with, this decision in itself, and I don't know what you want to do with me, but Lord, just however you want to use me, use me. Like, I'm good. And like 2 weeks later, I believe, I got a text from Taylor on a Sunday. She's like, hey, we have this meeting with this AD in Texas, and he wants us to come and train some of their teams and or coaches, and I would love for you to get on as a representative of Team Second and kind of what you've done at Tech, and just kind of talk about that. And I was like, sure, me talk to a stranger, got it. Sign me up, let me know when. And so ended up getting on the call and on a Monday, and kind of just shared probably like a little minute and a half segment of my faith and what God had done at Tech through the things that I'd learned through I Am Second. And at the end of the call, he's like, hey, Callie, can you stay back for a second? And I'm thinking, okay, this guy really just wants to know the tea. Like, he wants to really know what's happening with I Am Second away from, because we had two administrators on there at the time, Taylor and then one other lady, Jessica. And so I'm like, oh, he really just wants to low down on like actually what happens at these things, and he doesn't want to ask it in front of my bosses or whatever. And he was like, hey, so have you ever considered being a GA? And I said, nope, I'm done with school. He's like, well, maybe I would love for you to come on campus and just see what we're all about. And I was like, okay. And so after that, hung up with him, called Taylor, and I was like, you're never going to believe this dude just basically offered me a job. He's like, she says, Callie, Jessica and I had fasted all weekend to figure out if anyone else needed to be on this call, and your name kept being placed on my heart. And I was like, okay, got it. So when I prayed 2 weeks ago, this is all this is all happening now. Great. So then I was kind of in that moment where I just had this like it felt like a wave rushing over me just of peace and of confidence, and I knew that that's where the Lord was calling me, and so ended up going to campus a couple days later, and, it was a 2-hour drive from Ruston to Longview, and so much peace. First of all, first job interview, like, ever, and
1 second. Can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you.
Is your Wi-Fi like it says reconnecting and you're very blurry and I don't want you to get cut out. I can cut out this little part now, but
Hold on, let me see if I can reconnect to my phone without losing us.
oh no, I've lost you.
Okay. Is it back? Is it working?
Oh, yes. Oh no, you're gone.
Oh,
You're gone. Okay, let's just pause for a second while we wait for Callie to get back on here. I'm hoping that she just um anyways, I hope you guys are enjoying her testimony so far because I am. I am. I'm excited to see. Also, that was such a that's God moment with them fasting and praying for her and then them giving her an opportunity to be a GA. So I'm excited to see where that goes. But super awesome. Super fun. Hmm. Hello? Oh my gosh. Hi.
hello.
No, you're frozen. I've been sitting here talking to the okay,
Am I back?
so I don't know why it's so maybe it's me. I don't think it's me. Can you see me fine and hear me
Hi,
fine?
you're clear. It's probably me, I'm not gonna lie. My Wi-Fi likes to
That's
go
okay.
in.
I can hear you now. You're just blurry.
Okay. Let me
So
if I should I try to connect to my hotspot and see if that works better? Probably. Please
if
hold.
you want to, yeah, that's fine.
Let's see. It's gonna kick me out again.
She is connecting to her hotspot, guys. We're gonna be right back. I'll probably end up just cutting this part out, but bear with me here. Oh, hello. Oh, praise the Lord. Praise
Great!
the Lord. Okay, no, that's so good because honestly, for a while there, I was just like bearing with it. It was like it was a little blurry. I could hear you fine. So I was like, oh, the audio will be fine for Spotify and whatnot, but like I couldn't see you. And I was like,
Oh, good. Good.
but oh my gosh, I can hear you. Okay, sweet. So I wrote down the time to like cut that part out.
Okay.
So I'll be able to chop that. But I was gonna say, okay, now that we're back,
Yes.
you just happened to like have a honestly, I was gonna say like that's God moment with the people who were praying and
Yes.
fasting for in your name. So
Yes.
that's where you were. So
Great. Thank you so much. I'm like, "What did I say?" Okay, yeah. Okay, anyways, so yeah. So had a very much a moment of like, "Wow, okay, Lord, like I hear you. This is where I'm going." So came on campus, literally so much peace. I first job interview ever and was driving here for 2 hours listening to Taylor Swift. Like, this is the best thing ever. It was like half Taylor Swift, half worship music. I had to mix it in. But anyways,
right.
I was just like, thank you, Jesus, praying most of the way. I have like pictures. I get them like my year recap was earlier this year and, or whatever, flashback. And it was just me crying, leaving the interview of just saying, God is so good. And, when I came on campus, I ultimate hello, instant community and really, really, really felt just like, okay, I guess like called. Like I knew that it didn't really matter. I didn't think about where I was going to live, how much I was getting paid, what would really be happening, what my job was going to be. All that mattered to me was this is where God wanted me to be.
Yeah.
And So called my parents when I was leaving, and they were like asking so many questions, obviously, as parents do. They want to, cover all the bases. And I was like, nah, like, I actually don't care if I don't get paid a penny. I'll figure it out. But I know this is where God is calling me to be. And so I think that's probably the first time where my parents kind of had to deal with that much faith out of me, because previously it was really not necessarily reserved, but not super like raw in your face. Like, it just was very like, I don't know how to say that, but it
Like
just
outspoken, like
yeah.
actually raw. We're gonna go with it wasn't super raw.
Yeah, like, it wasn't, yeah, anyways,
It was in your face. Okay,
you need to
okay.
say something stupid. Okay. So anyway, and so a verse that I love and that has been my stronghold forever is Philippians 4:6-7. And I like to quote it again and say, let go and let God. But it says, do not be anxious about anything, but with prayer and petition, present your requests to the Lord with thanksgiving, and the peace that surpasses all understanding will surround your heart and your mind in Christ Jesus. And that is something to me that I knew in that moment, that's why that verse had been placed on my heart. Um, Last year, I do a word of the year each year, and I've kind of been slacking this year, honestly. But my word of the year last year was patience, and saying that prayer of, God, where do you want me? And then waiting 2 weeks of just in prayer for 2 weeks of where that's going to be. And then him, giving me this opportunity at Laterno. And it was definitely a patience thing. And then also at the same time, I was having to be patient with this new dude that I was talking to. And we talked for 4.5 months and then met him in person and started dating at the end of that week. And so that sounds insane, but it was all a patience thing. And, I just like, I see how much the Lord worked in my life this past year. And like I said, I didn't think that my senior year could be beat in what he did. And then from January, and I say year by calendar year, January to December of this past year was actually insane. And so anyways, ended up coming to Laterno, and this is so long, I'm sorry. Ended up
What?
coming to Laterno.
It is not at all.
Okay,
Listen, like we had my dad on the podcast. I don't know if you just looked through
I have.
that
I've seen some of the people, yeah.
like 2 hours long. I'm like,
I'm
Dad.
done. I'm done.
So don't
Happy
worry.
offer.
Yeah.
Anyway, so ended up starting the season and really just had a heart for how do I disciple these girls well? How do I go into this season and honestly be a steward and be the hands and feet of God? How do I go into this season doing that? And oh my gosh, my computer, leave me alone. That buzzing, sorry. That's Alex. He's texting me. Leave me alone. Okay. Anyway. You can cut that part out. I'm a squirrel. Anyway, go into this season and I'm just like, Lord, I don't know what you want, what this looks like, because as a coach now, I'm not in the locker room with them. I'm not going to team dinners with them. It's very different. And so I didn't exactly know what that was going to look like in the long run of how. And so kind of got through the season. We had, one girl, her name was Chanel, and she came to us maybe like halfway through the season. It's like, hey, the Lord's placed it on my heart to be baptized. And I was like, whoa, okay. And she's like, I keep reaching out to the church that I go to and they won't respond, or they give me dates that we're playing a game and all this stuff. And I was like, hey, so crazy thought, we do it in an ice bathtub after a game. And she was like, we can do that? And I was like, girlfriend, you say the word, we go fill that tub, and it happens. And so sure enough, we filled the ice bathtub and went and baptized Chanel, and she shared her testimony in front of, it felt like 7 million people were standing there, but it was probably like 100, 150 people. And she got up there and shared her testimony, similarly with the identity piece and kind of where God wanted her to be. And it just was so cool to be a part of a little bit of her story of what the Lord is doing. And she ended up being a catalyst for the rest of my team, or our team. And we had Sage, who I had been talking to kind of during the season, who was a freshman, and she was baptized as a baby, and so didn't really think that she needed to be baptized again. That's kind of where she stood on that. And so, but she had a lot of, I call them God winks, where like of coming, just her story of getting to Laterno and some of the things that happened, and they have chapel that they have to attend, and some of the things that the speakers there had said, and some of the things we had said in our pregame chapels, and some things that I didn't even know about that I had said to her just in passing or regular conversation, where she's like, Coach Callie, those have changed my life. How do I live like that? And so it took her a little bit longer to come around to the baptism idea, but just with continuous prayer for her, her team was praying for her as well. Our whole coaching staff was praying for her, and ended up getting baptized in an ice bathtub inside the training room. So that was interesting. People were walking by the hallways like, what are those weirdos doing in there?
What's
It
going
was
on?
great. I love it. I love being weird. Um,
Yeah.
so that was really cool, just to have Sage come to me and say that same thing. And then in the spring we had Avery get baptized, and so at this point we have our group is functioning. We started after Christmas break, just because during the season it was really hard to find a time where everybody could come together, and agree on, it's not going to take me away from my schoolwork, because this school is insane. And so the fact that they even take an hour out of their week to come and listen to each other yap, it's great. But anyway, so at this point we have our church is fully functioning here, and we have probably 8 to 12 girls coming each week. Kind of varies, but just depending on what they're doing. But consistent group of girls are coming, and they actually meet in my living room. And so started really with them trying to get comfortable. And I had several conversations with a lot of them individually. So I kind of knew where their faith was at, and kind of some of their backstories and testimonies. But listening to them talk to each other about that for the first time was really cool to see. And so implemented 3/3. We went through the commands of Christ. And honestly, by command like 4 or 5, I was sitting in the corner twiddling my thumbs, and they were doing everything else. And so it was so cool to see them take that on so quickly, and want to take that on as quickly as they did. And I honestly think a lot of that comes from the releasing authority, where they're not coming to listen to Coach Callie talk every week. They're just getting in the word together and talking about what they see, right? They're not saying this pastor said this book said this. Like, they're in the word, and nobody has to feel smarter or dumber than the other, because
Mhm.
reading words in front of you, and you're taking things from that to to communicate with others and to have those conversations. And so that was really, really, really cool to watch. And so from that, we got to the baptism command, and it's something that obviously 2 girls on our team at this point had been baptized, and I knew that there was another girl that had it on the back of her mind, because she had communicated that to me, but never really, there was nothing ever really that came from that. And so again, same thing, kind of similar to Sage, where um we're praying for Avery, and, whatever the Lord does with her and whatever his timing is in that. And she came, I think it was after spring break, and she came up to me and Chanel, actually, after Bible study, and was like, "Hey, can I talk to you about something?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" She's like, "I think I want to get baptized." And we like, oh my gosh, we're so excited. We had been praying for Avery, and so just hearing her say those words, and then her saying like, "Chanel, I want you to do it," was
Mhm.
so insane, because it was like they had seen a model of, it doesn't have to be in a church. It doesn't have to be done by a pastor. It can be done by my brothers and sisters in Christ. And um seeing them again take that on so willingly, because I feel like in church culture, we can't, in worldly Christianity, we can get so tied down to, if I want to get baptized, I got to go to 6 weeks of classes, and then my preacher's going to do it on baptism Sunday in front of everybody, and I'm going to share my testimony and all those things. um and just seeing them take, I keep looking up here because I have their pictures on my wall of like just little
Oh.
proud moments, reminders, but just seeing them take that on so willingly is so cool. And so it was real, like just watching Avery's whole process happen. And so her twin sister ended up transferring in the spring semester, and so she got to join our Bible study. She didn't have, not that she didn't have a relationship with the Lord, but it was kind of rocky, because at her old school some things that happened, and she kind of had not a hard heart towards God, but she was kind of just like, "Hey, what's up? Like, why are these things happening?" um and I think a little bit of church hurt in there too. And so when she came to Laterno, it just was kind of again a domino effect of her witnessing the group of girls that we had and how passionately they pursued the Lord, and Chanel being the headliner of all of that. She was pushing Avery and Kennedy towards the Lord. She's pushing other through our team, outside of our team, and all of the things. And so um and you actually got to watch Kennedy be baptized. So
I was about to say, is this the same Kennedy?
yeah, that's who
Okay.
went to the camp, yeah.
Okay,
So,
sweet.
kind of backstory on her, but yeah, so she transferred in, got to watch her sister be baptized, and Kennedy was one where she didn't wanna do it just because Avery was doing it, and so I thought that was really cool because I think that it's very easy to fall into, "My friends are doing it, so I'm gonna do it too," especially when it comes to a baptism thing, and if it's not held with reverence in that way, it can just be like, I'm gonna do it just for funsies." Um, but anyways, so I think that that was kind of a thing for her of just seeing how the Lord moved in Avery's life, and then he very quickly was doing things in Ken's life, and just seeing her weekly coming to me and asking questions and pursuing God, even in her devotionals that she was talking about in class, like some of the ways that she responded to those, and just things like that where it was like, "Okay, God, I see what you're doing." And then she ended up, at Team Second Camp this year. I don't even remember what I don't think we went through the baptism hammer. I don't remember what it was after. I don't remember what we did that day where she walked over and she looked, oh no, I think we were just having conversation. I think it was like one of those collaborate with your partner moments. Really don't remember, honestly. I just remember asking her, like, hey, kind of where are you at with the baptism thing? And honestly, it maybe had been about obedience or something. And I was just kind of, hey, where are you at? And she goes, I'm ready. I was like, and I was saying it jokingly, like, I fully did not think, like, I was just kinda, like, poking the bear of, like, "What's up? Where you at?" And she's like, "No, I'm ready." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." So then I was like, "Corey, come here. Alex, come here. Like, Chanel, Jay, come over." And so she got to tell them and celebrate with her teammates, and then, some of our other people, other teams that can athletes that were there, and so that was really cool. And then, um she asked me to baptize her in the pond, and so we did it in the pond in the rain, and it was great. And, it's something that I know she's super proud of, and even just kinda check-ins with her that I've had throughout the summer, and, she's had some of those ups and downs, but at the end of the day, she's always gone back to the Word, she's always gone back to the Lord. And so really just seeing, honestly, I go all the way back to my little bitty yes of, "Okay, God, this is where, you're gonna use me, how?" And it all starting with my sister being like, "Huh, do you even have a testimony?" Um, but and honestly, even, like, I can think back to when I got baptized and going under the water and then coming I was like, "Oh, Imma have superpowers, like, nothing bad is ever gonna happen to me. Like, I am going to be indestructible." And then when I came back up out of that water and I kinda was just like, there was nothing, and I was like, "Oh, no, he hates me. God, I've done too much. He doesn't want me." And I just think back to immature Callie and baby faith Callie thinking about those things and how God felt about me, and it was just like, "No, dude, he was preparing you for all of the things that you would do in the next couple years and that he would do through me." And so, um, I'm so grateful that he's used me. I'm so grateful that I've been able to be a vessel of that, and we're about to start another season here, and whole new group of freshmen are coming in. So even talking now about some of the things that, like Chanel, Kennedy, Jay, they're gonna pretty much just take the Bible study. I'm like, y'all can still use my living room. I'm just never those doors are never gonna be closed. But kind of just letting them run with that and seeing what the Lord does with that, and still pursuing those discipleship relationships and um those types of things with the girls. But it's just been so insane to see what God has done with me when just a couple years ago I was like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And he was like,
Yeah.
I'm working the whole time. You just don't see it yet. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
I love that. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
Well, it's so evident how God just moved through your life. Earlier, you said, like, God winks.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
I'm gonna steal that. I love it.
My
And
mom
but, like,
and we've just inherited it.
that's so good. And
Yeah.
it's like it was so clear, like, in your story, like, the little things that had happened to lead up to, like, where you are
Yeah.
now, and you are such a like, it just makes sense. When I first met you, like, when people have those certain attributes and you're like, they're gonna, like, coach. They're gonna lead a team. They're gonna like take people under their wing. They're gonna be like a mom to these people and just like pour the love of Jesus into them. Like that's just you. And like hearing your story, it just makes sense to me. I'm like, you know what? Yeah.
Thank you.
Like that's awesome. I think that's so, so cool. And the fact that it was just a full circle moment too. I love that.
Yeah,
Um, and your verse, one of the best verses in the Bible. It's so good.
great one.
So good. Do you have anything else before I ask? Because I wrote more questions than I normally do. So
Okay, great. I mean, I'm sure I missed several things along the way, but I
no, it's
we got
okay.
the point. We got the point.
No, it Jesus was evident, and that is all that matters. It's
I'm
all
gonna
that matters.
listen back to this and be like, "Why did you talk about that? And why did you not mention it?" I always do that. I'm always even when I share my testimony with people, I'm like, "Oh, I shoulda mentioned." Anyways,
Oh yeah, and I'm all over the place, and then I forget like half my childhood, and I'm like,
yeah.
oh wait,
Like,
probably a
where was I?
huge part.
Like,
Mhm.
probably the years that all of that happened, besides the last 2, I don't know. That's a guess.
Yeah, it's fine. The story was there.
Sometime back then, yeah.
Yeah, if I ever re-listen to mine, I'm just like, Summer, what are you
Yeah,
doing?
yeah,
So don't worry about that.
yeah.
Um, but from the very beginning, when you were working with the sixth graders,
Mhm.
what does childlike faith mean to you? You know, we see it in the Bible. You hear that a lot, and I absolutely love the mentality of like having a childlike faith. But how would you explain it?
Yeah. I think for me, it's about the want to know more, that you never are in a place where you know enough about the Bible and about God and his heart for us. Um, and also pursuing that without feeling like you have to live up to all of these other things at the same time. Like when I think about a kid and like I babysit, and so when I think one of my like favorite children that I have been blessed to be a part of her life since she was born, and the way that she looks up to me and speaks to me and about me to other people, and just how I can remember one year where she's like, Callie, like I want to be like you when I grow up. And so I think just having that recognition, and I use Lucy because she's a she's a god wink for me constantly. And so I use her because her faith, and she's 8 years old, but when we were having these conversations, she was 5 and 6 and asking questions about God, and not why do good things happen? I mean, bad things happen to good people, but she's like, well, why did he make dogs have 4 legs? And why do you have to live not with me? And why did he make you play on daddy's soccer team? And just
Mhm.
little things like that, where it's like, okay, he's doing all of these things. And I'm probably butchering my definition of this here, but
No,
my point is like the way that children look up to people that are older than them, and that they admire, and not because of anything that they're doing, but because of who they are to them and how they treat them. And I think that that's how I feel that childlike faith looks is, God doesn't I don't love God because he's done all these things for me. Like I don't admire him, and I do not serve him because he's, given me a family, because and it's all great, don't get me wrong, but like because he's made all these happen, I choose to serve God because I know what he did for me. And obviously
that's
sending his son and going to the cross for me. And that's enough. That's the ultimate, obviously the ultimate sacrifice. Like who am I to even ask him to answer another prayer, because he's already given me salvation? And so I think just having the reverence for, what he's done, but not necessarily in this big philosophical complicated way, but simply because he loves me, I love him and I choose to serve him.
that was a beautiful answer.
Well,
That
thanks,
was so
Lily. I was talking in
good.
a big old circle.
No, I don't. It doesn't like that was perfect. Like I want, or I know what he did for me, and that's why I choose to love him.
Yeah,
Like as like the childlike faith, that's what they like. That's what they do. They know that Jesus died on the cross for their sins, and like that's so cool.
yeah,
Yeah, it is so cool. Like we need to live with that kind of like fire. And in the very beginning, you said the want to know more.
yeah,
It is just is so cool in kids where they're like, "Oh, this
Why?
happened, this happened, this
Why? Yeah,
why?
why?
Why did this happen?"
Yeah,
I wanna know more, like,
yeah.
sure,
I
they
feel
might not understand the depth of it, but that's
right.
okay, like,
Yeah.
having that passion for their faith is something that as we get older, now not everybody, but sometimes we lack that, so
Yeah.
I love the definition of that, that was really good.
Thanks.
Um, so, what was my next question? Okay, when your sister told you that you didn't have a testimony, but that was
You're gonna kill me for mentioning this, but it's fine. I say it all the
it's
time.
okay. Is this the sister that played at
Southeastern.
football?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Sweet. Um, so how do you encourage others who feel like they don't have a testimony?
Yeah.
How do you encourage them?
I think for me, a lot of what I realized, and obviously I'm sitting here today telling you my testimony, is that despite maybe what social media and the world says is a testimony, and that you have to, experience a life changing disease or maybe an injury or an incident in your life where you maybe hit rock bottom, I don't necessarily feel like that's what makes a testimony a testimony. I think if any story of you living one way and repenting and turning and trusting in what the Lord has done in your life and what he's done for you, and being able to share that story, that's a testimony in itself. Like any instance where God has done something for you or changed your life in some way, that's a testimony. It doesn't have to be, and I think it doesn't have to be this big and like dramatic thing. Like it just can be, I've always grown up in the church and I knew Jesus my whole life, but I never knew how to serve him. I never knew how to be obedient to him. And then now I do, and this is what he's done in
Yeah.
my life since then. So
Boom. 15-second
you
testimony, right? Like,
there,
I was about to say,
that's
that's literally like the 15-second testimony thing.
yeah,
It does not be big
yeah,
or extravagant. Like
yeah.
you
There
were
was a time in
once.
my life where I was one way, then I met Jesus, I chose to serve him, and now I'm this way.
Yes, I love
That's
telling people
it.
that. They're like, "Wow, that's like really simple." I had a girl this weekend, when I was at that camp. She's like, "I don't really have a testimony. Like my parents, like my dad's a pastor." And I said, "Oh, girl, you
But
just," and then I just,
yep,
cooked with the 15-second testimony there. And she was like, "Oh," I was
yeah.
like, "Yeah,
Well,
boom." But that's perfect.
yeah,
Um, you said that your real pursuit started like in 10th grade.
yeah,
And that you had still gone through like lukewarmness, ups and downs, like
yeah.
we all go through those times in our faith. But what is like the definition of like a real pursuit of Jesus look like?
Yeah. I think at that point, I would like obviously I would say yes that I was pursuing Jesus, but and I say that in a way of having that childlike faith of, wanting to know more and wanting to be more involved and leaning on him more, but I don't know that I was ever obedient until my junior year. And so of college. And so honestly, now my vision of pursuit of Jesus looks a lot different. I think it's being obedient to him and, being in his word and living by his word. Um, and so yeah, I say that my pursuit, I think that I just kind of I turned I turned to him more when I was in high school and during my freshman and sophomore year of college, and then I would say that the real, like, I'm running this race full force, 100% effort was my junior year when I was like, "Use me," however, and I think that the obedience to him is what drew me closer to him and ultimately has led to all of the things that he's done.
That's perfect. Obedience.
Yep, obedience,
Love it.
that
I
is
love
my
it. And we
job,
say it,
be obedient.
be obedient. If anything else you take from
Forget everything
this,
I said, be obedient.
be obedient. That's gonna be the like outro. I'm gonna
That's
be
right.
obedient. I love it though. I love it. And we say it like it's like easy, and it's one of the hardest things to do.
It's not easy. Speaking from experience, it's not.
It's not at all, but it's such a beautiful thing
Even
when you see it come to fruition.
yeah, and, like, even seeing him do all of these things, and there's still times where I'm just like, "Nah, God, Imma do it this way. Thanks for your advice, but I'm actually gonna," and every single time I'm like, "Yeah, no, I don't know why I didn't just listen to you in the first place."
Right.
You gave me the easy way and I chose the hard way, but it's fine.
I know, it's like an "I told you so," and you're like, "Okay,
I got wait, I got it.
sorry." But awesome. Um, you had kind of hinted on this, but I don't know, you can tell me that if I'm just reading this the wrong way. But, what's a healthy way to take people under your wing to where it's not like a, "Hey, I'm trying to save you, but I'm trying to take you to like, I'm trying to,
Yeah.
like, shine the light on Jesus, like, lead you to Jesus. I'm not trying to save you." What would a healthy way to do that look like?
Yeah, I think so when I say that I was trying to love people to Jesus, I, like, genuinely I was the faith that they had, and looking at it now, like, yes, I told them about God and I took them to church with me on Sundays, but the faith that they had was in me, and, like, their faith or my faith was their faith, and so I think that the deeper that I got in my relationship with God, the more that those relationships looked more like leading them, but not in a way of, "I'm gonna tell you these things," but maybe it's just like hey, obviously inviting them to church or inviting them into your group or whatever that might look like, but having more of those conversations where it's not, "This is how I see things, this is my faith, this is what God is telling me, this is what he's doing in my life," but more of, like, encouraging that interaction and engaging in those conversations where it's then them having to think about, "Okay, if Callie's gonna ask me these questions, maybe I should have a basis to have those answers." And, so I think that in those ways, it encouraged one person in particular I'm thinking of, like, it encouraged her that she wanted to get in the Word, and she wanted to read, and she wanted to have those conversations with me, but she just didn't know how at the time, and so then those conversations then went from me telling her about all these things that I was reading about and doing or that God was doing, to her coming to me and like, "Hey, you talk about all these things, how do I do that too?" And then we start reading together. And then she starts kind of finding that identity and finding the purpose and finding the confidence in even just like reading, just opening her Bible, or maybe it's praying. Well, how do Callie always prays over our food. How do I start making them pray just giving them opportunities to take ownership of their own faith, I guess, would be that. So it's less, dragging and more just kind of like holding a hand, swinging and skipping of like, "Hey, let me know where you're at. I'll tell you where I'm at if you tell me where you're at." Like,
I like that. I like that.
yeah,
Less dragging, more hand-holding and skipping.
yeah.
Boom. That's
Oh
perfect.
my god,
No, that's
I'm
like
gonna listen to all
I'm a
this stuff.
visual person.
Yes.
I'm a visual person, and that makes perfect sense to me.
I'm so glad. I don't even know
Yeah.
what I said.
Oh, that and what? Every time I end, a podcast and I'm, like, talking about it, with someone, I'm like, "I actually don't remember a single word I said," but those are sometimes the best ones. When I remember everything and I'm overthinking it, it's
Yeah.
because I was not relying on the Holy Spirit to speak
Yeah,
through
I
me,
was
so,
gonna say, I typically black out and let the Lord speak, so we're just
yep, it's the best thing
in
to
his
do.
hands.
Well, those are all the questions I have that are based off of your testimony, and then I had, like, prepared and told you that we always ask our guests this. Sadie Robinson, I kinda stole it from her. She does it at the beginning of her testimonies, or at the beginning of her episodes. But what is the best piece of advice that you want to leave our listeners today?
I think that obviously coming from an athlete standpoint, but I think that this can apply to everyone's life, even if you're not an athlete, but just finding your identity in something that's eternal and placing it in things that are temporary, like stats, minutes, um money, job opportunities, out, anything that you can maybe tie your worth to that is temporary. Don't. I salvation is eternal, and that is something that we can put our identity in, and I think that's what I would tell younger Callie, and so that's what I would tell everyone that's listening is putting your identity in something that is eternal rather than something temporary is life-changing. So,
Yes. Find identity in something eternal, and salvation is eternal. I love it.
yes.
I love it. Well, do you have anything else for me that you want
No,
to share?
just thank you so much for asking me to come on. This was
Okay. No,
I was
thank you. I
not
was going to say,
expecting it
like,
at all.
no.
When you text me,
So,
I'm like, "Me?"
yeah.
Well,
Yeah. I feel like I have like a list of people that I wanted to get to, and I was like, Callie, we gotta,
I love
that's
it.
that.
Thank you so much.
So,
I'm so
thank you so much, though, for just being willing to come on here and yap and tell
I
your
can yap
testimony.
anytime.
No, literally, we'll have to get you back on here, like, with Emerson for, like, a special episode or something, and then the episode's gonna accidentally be, like, 3 hours long or something
Yeah.
crazy.
We'll apologize in advance, it's fine.
Yeah, like, if you don't wanna listen to 3 hours of us, uh,
Yeah,
speak gibberish, just don't.
don't.
Don't listen.
Go in it, pick out some highlights, and move on.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Thankfully,
can
like,
talk with this
Spotify will
too,
do that.
honestly.
Yeah, yeah. Spotify will do that for you, though. It'll, like, if you wanna listen to just a certain portion,
Yeah. I
it'll,
saw
like,
that on I was listening to Sadie's, and I saw that it, like, split it up like that.
yep, and I
So,
was like, "Okay, that's good for people who wanna
yeah.
maybe just get to the point sometimes when I'm speaking," so, um, but thank you so much. It's such a blessing to be able to, like, make these connections, and, like, I've got to meet you, like, for the, I or Team Second Camp, and that was such a blessing, and then getting to meet and talk and all that good stuff,
Yeah,
and, yeah, we'll have to get, you and Alex on here one day too together,
we can
do,
do
like, a
that.
little coupley episode.
We can do that too. You just let us know when.
Hey, we will reach out. We will reach out. Emerson, we miss you. I wish you were here for this
Yeah, girl,
episode,
where
but
you at?
yeah, come on, Emerson. Like, but I texted her and she's like, what did she say? She said, dog. Aw. I was like,
Sorry, dog.
it's okay.
Yeah, see you next time.
Yeah, sorry, bud. But I hope you listen to this end. We miss you. And I'll quit yapping now, but
Me too. Of
thank you again so much. If
course.
you would like to, I'd love if you could close us out in prayer.
Love to. Okay. Dear Lord, thank you so much for Summer and Emerson and all the things that they're doing with this podcast, Lord. Thank you for their hearts and for how passionately that they're pursuing you. Thank you for the opportunity to get to know them more this summer. And I'm excited to see how you continue to use them in the future, Lord. And honestly, just thank you for the person listening to this podcast, God, that you've kept them here for this long, Lord willing. And I just pray that anything that they hear today, Lord, whether it be from me or from Emerson, Lord, or maybe it's just something you're speaking to them, that they're able to go and use that in their lives and implement those things in however, Lord. And I just pray that you continue to guide us and remind us of how great your sacrifice was with your son Jesus Christ on the cross, Lord, and that you sent him down here to do that for us and for our sins, and just to remember that and to be gracious for that, and again to be obedient to all the things that you're calling us to do, Lord. And I just thank you for everything that you've done through my life, and that you will continue to do with whoever listens to this, or wherever this goes from there. I thank you again for your son Jesus Christ, and I pray all of this in the name of King Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Well, thanks for hanging out with
Of
us.
course.
Be obedient.
Be obedient.
And you want to say it on 3?
Oh, I don't know. What are we saying?
That's God. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Be obedient. No, I should have warned you, like, hey, we'll say this for 3.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Okay.
I fully
I'm
listened to
gonna,
Sadie's podcast. I don't know how I don't think I listened to the ending than that because I don't remember that. But anyway.
I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, it's okay. So we're gonna ready.
Well, yep.
Thanks for hanging out with us. Be obedient, and that's God. Cut. We're done. It's okay. That's perfect. It doesn't.